Hello and welcome to Vassar Campfire Stories, a podcast where we listen to students talk about their spooky experiences on Vassar College's campus and how that experience changes the land of the living. Thank you for listening and welcome back to hear another Vassar ghost story. I'm your host, Haley Bax, and I am thrilled to be sitting here today with Daisy. Daisy, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Daisy. I'm a senior Greek and Roman Studies major, and at the moment I am one of the co-captains for VCEMS.
We love VCEMS, and that's a little hint to what this might entail. So if you're ready, I know I am. I am very excited. I am ready and waiting to hear your story if you'd like to go ahead and start.
So this is happened to me a couple of years ago. I've been on EMS for my entire time at Vassar, but a couple of years ago, I cannot tell you for the life of me what night, what time of day it was. I know it was dark outside. It was probably at like 3 a.m. when we get our usual EMS calls. But we were leaving after we'd written up our reports, like sorted everything, and we were walking down the stairwell in Baldwin. I don't know if like a lot of people go down that stairwell. There was like three of us. We were walking down the stairs, and I turned around to look at my crew, the people I was working with, and I saw like there was one in front of me, and I saw one right way up at the top of the stairwell. And I was like, "Hey, what are you doing all the way up there?" Sarah, who was my friend, who I thought it just was stood right next to me and went, "What are you talking about, Daisy?" And I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "Nothing." So we left, and I was like, "I think I saw someone like stood there. There was a person." And she was like, "Nope, nope, nope." Because there's a very long lasting belief in EMS that Baldwin is in some way haunted. Like, we don't like going down dark hallways alone. We like only go down to the basement if we're trying to freak each other out. But this is definitely the first time I've like seen something happen. But it was just so interesting, like seeing actual silhouette. There was a thing. And then yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, so when you walk into Baldwin, most people at Vassar have been to Baldwin likely at least once at this point. And you walk in, there's that stairwell to the right that can bring you up to the second floor. So you're coming down that stairwell from the EMS office, and you see at the top of the stairs this silhouette of a person that you think is your other EMS member. And lo and behold, they're actually directly behind you.
Yeah.
So how does this story of Baldwin being haunted get passed down through EMS?
It's like, so sometimes we get together as just like a group of people because obviously normally we're in very high stress situations when we're together. So occasionally we like to just get together. But yeah, and so like we would talk, and we would sometimes joke around that we would have sleepovers in the basement of Baldwin one day and wait for the ghosts to come. But like we never did it, and we never really wanted to do it. And and sometimes because we're often in there in like the dead of night, and we don't always know which light switches turn on which lights because there's like a whole board of switches, and they operate like the entire floor. So sometimes we have to go down the dark hallways like without knowing how to turn the lights on. We always do our best to either run or we go in pairs, and like someone has their flashlight on their phone, like I don't know if it's just because it's dark in there and it's an old building, but we're all just very aware that there should be other presences, and we never want to encounter them.
So, did you believe that Baldwin was haunted before this experience, or was it just a fairy tale?
I think I believed it. We've talked to like other healthcare workers in Baldwin, the nurses and so on. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is where we kept the Spanish flu victims that died," and it's like, we're like, "So people did actually die in this building?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So like, I generally in my life do believe in ghosts. So I was like, makes sense that people that died here would stay here.
You're a ghostly believer, which is it's interesting because some people don't believe until they have an experience like this. Had you had any other experiences in your life?
First-hand experiences, and she told me about it. And like, she was someone who's very grounded in the real world. Like, she was like, "Nope, that was definitely a ghost that I saw." So it's kind of hard to disbelieve someone like that.
I find it interesting because your experience in Baldwin, it was because you're there you're there more at night than most people because of your place on EMS, and yet it seems like EMS people are still almost scared of Baldwin. Would that be right?
Yeah, definitely. You'd think, yeah, like the exposure to nighttime Moldwood would kind of make you less aware of the scariness of it. I feel like the more time you spend there, the more scared you get. I don't know why, but like definitely, yeah, you talk to new members and they're like, "That doesn't make any sense. I'll just walk down this dark hallway." And then you see people that have been there for 4 years and they're like, "Don't go alone." Like, they're like, "We'll find the lights for you. Don't worry."
It regresses even more.
It kind of does.
Presence in Baldwin are a negative energy, or is it just the fact that there's a spirit at all?
Yeah, I would say it's just very neutral, just like an awareness.
Do you feel like it's, and I don't know if you have a familiarity with this or would want to describe this in any way, but do you feel like it's almost a negative? Do you feel if you go on Baldwin during the day, do you have a similar feeling, or is it more when it's night and dark?
It's definitely the nighttime. Like, yeah, I've been there during the day, and I think it's just like the amount of people that are involved in. Like, I don't know, like how many people realize the second and third floors have other offices, and like there's so many people in there
Mm-hmm.
that it feels like a normal building during the day, and then it's just empty at 5 o'clock.
It's empty, but is it? Do you feel it? Because it's a very specific circumstance because Baldwin is a place where people were housed that were sick and could have or did die from illnesses. So I wondered, does your experience in Baldwin in any way affect the way you think about the rest of campus?
I think particularly my experience is very limited to Baldwin, just because I think it makes a lot of sense of like people, yeah, being ill there, people dying there. That would obviously lead to a different experience there. But like also then I think a lot of campus is just as, if not older than Baldwin. So
Yeah.
and of the EMS that works across the whole campus, we've seen a variety of things. And I know about people that have died in other places on campus throughout the years. So I guess it like leads on that if Baldwin is haunted, and I know people have died there, and I know people have died somewhere else, that is probably also haunted.
But yeah, and you're also unique in being the only one of my interviewees who saw an actual figure and didn't just experience something that turning on or something moving without seeing necessarily a person. So I also find that interesting that that would happen in Baldwin.
Yeah, the ghost stronger there.
They grow strong. They grow strong over the energy of students that are usually unhappy when they have to go to Baldwin. Well, Daisy, I want to thank you for being on this podcast and for being a part of EMS crew. You guys do great work here up at all hours of the night, on call, on demand, going into scary buildings at 3 a.m. to write reports to help us and make sure that we can drink responsibly or irresponsibly and hopefully end up okay either way. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that the ghosts won't miss you when you're off campus because you are a senior and it's very sad that you will be leaving.
Well, thank you for having me.
Ghost stories don't always have to be experienced to change the way we see places. The stories of Baldwin are told throughout the staff, and old buildings with complex histories evoke a sense of haunting, even without the experience of an actual ghost. Daisy saw a figure that just confirmed the stories she had been told. Baldwin at night is an eerie, empty place that belongs to those no longer with us, haunted by the imagination's ability to create tragic and grim stories for the medical center when it's dark and empty. Perhaps the transition from a bustling building to a dark, empty space is what really makes Baldwin so haunting. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good night.